Welcome back, chess fans. Today, we are looking at a mind-blowing miniature from a real master game played in Zurich. If you play the Scandinavian defense, or if you constantly face it as white, you need to see this. We always hear the classic opening advice. Develop your pieces, control the center, and don't bring your queen out too early. Well, in just 7 moves, white proves exactly why those rules exist by unleashing a hidden tactical shocker that forces an immediate resignation. Let's flip the board, break it down move by move, and see exactly where black went wrong. Move 1. White pawn to e4, black pawn to d5. White begins the game by advancing the king's pawn to e4, staking an immediate claim to the center and opening up lines for the light-squared bishop and queen. Black responds instantly by pushing the queen's pawn to d5. This immediately strikes back at the center and challenges white's pawn head-on. This defines the Scandinavian defense, an aggressive counter-attacking opening. Move 2. White pawn takes d5, black queen takes d5. White accepts the challenge, playing pawn takes pawn on d5. This eliminates black's central pawn. Black must win the material back, so they bring out the heavy artillery early with queen takes pawn on d5. While black recovers the material, bringing the queen out on move 2 violates a core opening principle. Do not bring your queen out too early, or she will become a target. Move 3. White knight to c3, black queen to a5. White capitalizes on that exact rule by developing the queen's knight to c3. This natural developing move develops a minor piece, controls central squares, and attacks the exposed black queen simultaneously. Black is forced to waste time moving the queen again, sliding the black queen to a5. This is the absolute main line of the Scandinavian defense, tucking the queen away into a relatively safe home on the queen side. Move 4. White pawn to d4, black pawn to c6. With the black queen temporarily out of the way, white takes full control of the center by pushing the queen's pawn to d4. This establishes a powerful pawn duo in the center and opens lines for the dark-squared bishop. Black responds with pawn to c6. This is a classic defensive setup. It gives the black queen a potential escape route back to c7 or d8 if things get dangerous, and provides a solid anchor for the queen side. Move 5. White bishop to d3, black knight to f6. White continues standard, active piece development by playing light-squared bishop to d3, placing it on an active diagonal aimed toward black's king side. Black responds by developing the king's knight to f6, a fundamental move that prepares for future kingside castling and controls key central squares. Move 6. White knight to e2, black bishop to f5. White chooses a flexible setup, playing king's knight to e2. By placing the knight here instead of the traditional f3 square, white keeps the f-pawn unblocked and supports the c3 knight. Black sees an opportunity to trade off white's strong light-squared bishop and plays light-squared bishop to f5. This looks like a perfectly logical, active developing move. However, it completely overlooks a hidden tactical flaw. Move 7. White pawn to b4. Black resigns. White unleashes the devastating tactical shocker. Queenside pawn to b4. This single pawn push instantly wins the game. It is a double attack on 2 of black's key pieces. First, the b4 pawn directly attacks the black queen on a5. Second, by moving to b4, the pawn completely cuts off the defense of the black bishop on f5, which is now left completely unguarded and under attack by white's light-squared bishop on d3. Black is trapped in a catastrophic tactical fork. If the black queen takes the b4 pawn, white simply plays bishop takes bishop on f5, winning a clean piece. If the queen moves away to safety, white still plays bishop takes bishop on f5. Realizing they are losing a full minor piece on move 7 with 0 compensation, black resigned on the spot. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another tactical trap. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Have you ever fallen for a trick like this, or have you pulled one off in your own games? Welcome back to the Knight Gambit TV. Today we're looking at a very short but powerful opening trap from the Latvian Gambit Accepted. Even though the game lasts only 7 moves, every move contains an important lesson. Let's break it down move by move. Move 1. White plays pawn to e4. White begins by moving the king's pawn from e2 to e4, immediately controlling the center and opening lines for the bishop and queen. Move 1. Black plays pawn to e5. Black answers by moving the king's pawn from e7 to e5, fighting for the center and following classical opening principles. Move 2. White plays knight to f3. White develops the king's knight from g1 to f3. This attacks the e5 pawn, prepares kingside castling, and develops a piece toward the center. Move 2. Black plays pawn to f5. Black chooses the aggressive Latvian Gambit, moving the f-pawn from f7 to f5. Black sacrifices a pawn for rapid attacking chances, but this move weakens the king's position. Move 3. White plays knight takes e5. White's knight from f3 captures the pawn on e5. White accepts the gambit, wins a pawn, and places the knight actively in the center. Move 3. Black plays queen to f6. Black develops the queen from d8 to f6, attacking the knight on e5 and eyeing the d4 square. Black hopes to recover the sacrificed pawn quickly. Move 4. White plays pawn to d4. White advances the queen's pawn from d2 to d4, strengthening central control and opening the diagonal for the light-squared bishop. Move 4. Black plays pawn takes e4. Black's f-pawn from f5 captures the pawn on e4. Black wins back a central pawn, but continues delaying development. Move 5. White plays knight to c3. White develops the queen's knight from b1 to c3. This attacks the e4 pawn, supports the center, and prepares further development. Move 5. Black plays pawn to d6. Black moves the queen's pawn from d7 to d6, supporting the center and trying to drive away White's active knight. Move 6. White plays knight to d5. White's knight from e7. No, the knight moves from e5 to d5. This is a powerful outpost. The knight attacks the queen on f6 and creates tactical threats against c7 and e7. Move 6. Black plays queen to f5. Black moves the queen from f6 to f5 to escape the attack. However, the queen remains exposed, and Black's king is still stuck in the center. Move 7. White plays pawn to g4. White advances the g-pawn from g2 to g4. This brilliant move attacks the black queen on f5. The queen has almost no safe squares because White's pieces control the board. If the queen moves carelessly, White gains a huge lead in development while Black's king remains unsafe. Black also faces threats of knight takes c7+, winning the rook on a8 or forcing the king into trouble. Realizing that the position is strategically lost and that White has overwhelming initiative with better development, Black resigned immediately. Final lesson. This miniature teaches a valuable lesson. An early queen adventure cannot replace proper piece development. In the Latvian Gambit, if Black fails to generate immediate tactics, the weakened king position and exposed queen become serious liabilities. If you enjoyed this opening trap, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more chess traps, opening ideas, and tactical lessons here on the Knight Gambit TV. See you in the next video.